Okay, don't hit skip before we start today's podcast. I'm really excited. This is a personal, exciting thing for me. I wanted to quickly let you guys know about my upcoming Off the Vine tour called Pour Decisions. Pour, wine will be drank. I'm back on the road for the first leg of our tour. I'm coming through the good old Midwest. For the second half, I'll be headed to the Southeast. So I'm going Columbus, Cleveland, Ohio, Atlanta, Madison, Des Moines, Kansas City, Columbia, Missouri, Tampa, Orlando, Nashville. I'm coming to all you beautiful people. These podcast tours are always a highlight of my year because there's just no other way to put it than it's just pretty damn fun. I get to hang out with you in person. It's just the energy is electric. It's just insane. Like leaving those live podcasts, I'm like, whoa, that felt like an empowerment session. I feel elevated. The vibrations, don't get me started on how high those are. So check out my website, KaitlynBristowe.com, to buy tickets for those who join me. I can guarantee a little dancing, a lot of laughing, wine, lots of wine. Even if you're pregnant. I've had pregnant, sober people come to my show and say it was still fun. They bring their boyfriends, their husbands, and I even see them smiling at the end of it. So let's toast to that. I'll see you on tour. Off the Vine. Baby. Well, everybody, we have Dave Neal in the studio today. We are breaking down what do you even call this?
You've got the perfect outfit on for what we're about to talk about because you got the sexy mechanic, and we're gonna go to work on some legal documents here.
Put me under the car, open the hood, and expose this Jane Doe for what is happening. So let's just say that you're going to give us a crazy rundown, basically on the roller coaster story that is a paternity lawsuit / what, I don't know how
Becoming a con artist scam, which involves the FBI calling because of, she's basically, as one of the lead reporters of this story, she's tried to weaponize the entire legal system to keep me from telling the story I'm about to tell you.
Huh. Well, I hope it reaches a lot of people. And also, she being this person who, we're going to get all into this, but it involves Clayton. And as people remember, Clayton was I don't remember what season of The Bachelor. He was The Bachelor. He was on Michelle Young's season, which I hosted. And he wasn't really well liked on that season and somehow became The Bachelor. He's such a sweet guy.
He's an easy target because he's a strong, big guy.
But such a soft interior.
Soft guy. When you look at his inner child, you see a guy that was maybe not the coolest growing up and he kind of bench pressed his way into this type of guy who now does mental health talks about overcoming that.
Right.
And of course becomes a giant mark in a con.
Right, which I feel like he's already gone through some stuff he was accused of cheating on Susie, who he picked her at the end of his season. She denied his proposal. Then they got together. It didn't work out. But he got accused of cheating when he didn't cheat.
He was in Arizona the night a young woman in New York accused him of cheating, and luckily had the app on his watch or phone proving that he was at the gym.
Yeah.
And he had to prove how boring his Saturday night was.
Yeah.
This whole story comes out. I hooked up with Clayton the Bachelor, and he's like, I was at the gym alone and then I got pizza by myself. But
I love being able to prove people
within
wrong.
the hours of him proving that, it was already a complete wildfire. Immediately, people changed and took his side. And I think it's a lesson which had to be learned again in this current case, which is let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Because while most people don't lie, most people don't, those that do usually are trying to gain something from the other person, and that's why it's usually a celebrity, an athlete in that type of scenario.
Oh, all the time. It doesn't surprise me when people target a good-looking guy who is the Bachelor. I think this happens actually a lot to Bachelor Nation people. They get accused of things. I've been accused of things.
Sure.
But
and you've I think done the right thing, which is immediately denounce it and say, but it's a control thing. Those that accuse you want you to respond.
And I haven't, I've responded to some, of course, as we know, but Brandy Cyrus was here in the studio last week, and her mom Tish says, do you remember the exact saying? It was don't stomp in the shit or it's going to smell more. Something along those lines. And I'm like, damn it, I stomp in the shit all the time. But sometimes I think it's important to stand up for what's right. And this is one of those situations with this woman who's accusing Clayton of so many things and now has just got herself in a spiral of lies. And I think she thought she would just get away with it because she has before. There's so many victims that we'll talk about. I think there's a lot of true crime junkies out there in the podcast world. And this could be, will be, should be a documentary.
It's in the works with it's a conversation that every major streamer is having right now. The story's not over, so there will be a cliffhanger, but I will give you breaking news when we get to it, and we can totally discuss all the medical fraud and all of the misuse of resources. Again, audio I'll play of the FBI making phone calls. Pretty wild stuff. I'm just a normal guy who covers Bachelor Nation news, right? I prefer the dumb stories. I prefer the Hannah Brown got her apartment redone. Let's see how much product placement's in the Us Weekly. I like that. But then also, I think in some weird, faithful way, and I'm not a giant man of faith, but I do believe that some things just happen for a reason.
Yep.
I do believe I was meant to battle her lies because I'm the first person who hasn't hooked up with her or ever met her that she can't weaponize the system against me because I'm not one of her exes or this. So it's been a fight.
So she has tried to sue you. She
did sue me. She did sue you. And I'll get into what happened with that.
Okay, should we start at the beginning?
Sure.
So Clayton comes off the show. Things don't work with Susie. He moves to Phoenix. He decides to get into real estate.
April 2023.
Okay.
Just under a year ago.
Yep.
Becomes a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Which it takes a while to like get your footing. A lot of people that become real
estate.
And
a dancer. He became a real estate agent and a dancer.
And a hip hop dancer.
Okay.
Yep. That's very stylish.
Yeah.
And, a lot of, the pipeline from bartender to actor to real estate agent. You're only as good as the clients you bring in. And,
Yes.
when you have some notoriety, a lot of former athletes become real estate agents because you have a Rolodex of rich friends and this and that. I'm sure you have a lot of people that got into real estate that's like, Kaitlyn, buy my home. I'm sure it happens.
Yeah.
So he gets into it. He's into it for weeks. A lady, we're calling Jane Doe, reaches out to him through LinkedIn saying, I want to work with you. I believe in you. You're going to be great. And he's naive and he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Did she have a history in real estate?
So she's the child of relatively, I don't want to say famous parents, but her father was a well-known radio DJ in San Francisco, a very large market.
Okay.
I'm talking making $1 million a year DJ. Big support there. Mom's a reporter. Her history to this point is like sort of she went to college online. She is a very normal presenting person, but clearly, as we'll discuss, has some demons that are going to emerge.
We'll call it that.
So she's, I'll start by this. We've all been dumped. We've all done crazy things when our partner pulls away. We've all like.
I've thought about telling somebody I'm pregnant just to hang on to them, but then my logical brain went, "You crazy lady, you can't do that."
And if men were the ones who got pregnant, there is a segment of men that would do the same thing.
Right.
Men, for the most part, are stronger and they punch walls and they throw their remote at the TV when the Phillies lose and all these crazy things, right? But men don't get pregnant, so they don't use that. So it's not a. So she weaponizes everything she can, and in some cases, there's evidence pointing in the direction that she's created other sort of groups to weaponize against people to get what she wants. So,
give me an example. What do you mean?
Well, we'll get into that
Okay.
because I don't want to jump ahead because it's wild.
There's so much.
But she starts to work with Clayton.
Yeah.
May 20th, Clayton makes a mistake. He has an edible and he says, and they start start sexting each other.
Yeah.
And she's, she's a young 30s. He's doing his thing.
Yeah. Where's the mistake?
And right. Well, I mean, show me someone who didn't bang one of their, clients or whatever.
Yeah. No kidding.
So they hook up. She comes over. They hook up. They don't have sex.
Okay. Wait, let me ask a quick question. So she just started an LLC. She said she can give him some advice, and they became friends?
She's got money. So she
Okay.
comes from money.
Okay.
She's already like buying and selling horses. Like she's a horse rider,
Oh,
which
wow.
apparently the horse riding community tells me they breed cuckoos. That's what they tell me. Horse people they're an extra type.
Okay, interesting.
So
Fun fact.
she lives at her parents' house.
Yeah.
And in that property, they've got like a little horse farm, and she lives in the back house, and they buy horses and then they train them and then sell them. That's what they do.
Okay.
So and what's interesting is because she hired Clayton to be her like real estate agent, there's like a contract there which is going to be used against him and is still being used against him.
Oh, she hired him to be her real estate agent.
Yeah. I want to buy these properties.
Okay, got
and
it.
he's like, great,
Yeah.
let's buy properties.
Right.
And then he gets a blowjob or two. You got 2 blowjobs. When I heard that, I was like, Clayton, come on. Who's getting a second blowjob? Come on. Usually the first one will be like, all right, bad idea, but round 2?
Right, round 2 must have been good. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that?
the most expensive blowjob he's probably ever received.
For
at this
real.
point. We're talking probably $75,000 per blowjob. I'm guessing it's cost him about $150,000 at this point. But
damn.
So everything's fine. Yeah, no, they hooked up. Day or 2 goes by, and you can, it could be 2-3 days. He sits her down and says, "That was a bad idea. We can't be doing that." He said her kind of mood shifted. And then when we see with like anxious personality types, when the person pulls away, it does trigger all of those things. Just most people kind of deal with that, go to the gym, lose 5 pounds out of anxiety.
It's hard to be sensitive around this too, because one, this person could want to hurt herself. She could be dealing with severe bullying from all this, but you're like, you can't stop calling somebody out or standing up for what is right just because she's again weaponizing that as well. Like, I don't know how to be sensitive to somebody like her.
It's tough because, again, it's like, you feel bad. He felt bad, but he's still contractually tied to her as her agent.
Yeah.
And he would have to like formally remove himself or, this and that. So
her demeanor shifts.
So we start to see, I tell you what, let me jump ahead to where I found out the story, and then we can just go back to that. So September 18th, 2023. There's an article written in The Sun that an anonymous woman claims that Clayton Echard is a father of her unborn twins. So we're going from blowjobs in May to all of a sudden The Sun has this article.
Wow.
Which is ironic because the only reason it went to The Sun is because she leaked the story. She tried to leak the story to Page 6. She tried to leak it to Huffington Post. All these other places, The Sun, which is one of the smuttiest, news. They're the only ones who aired the story. But they aired it with enough information that let the audience clearly know who she is. Because it went this public, other victims started coming out. So we're watching this. I cover Bachelor News. I cover the story the day it comes out. And I go, not looking good for old boy Clayton. Like, I root for you guys. I root.
Yes,
I want everyone to be happy and move on and make a bunch of money and have babies and whatever they want out of life. And Clayton, I've already gone to bat for him. And I was like, oh man, buddy, what are you doing?
You're making it tough on us.
In the article, there are quotes of, I'll never be the father. I'm going to leave you. Like, real weaponized stuff. And everyone immediately grabs their pitchforks and is like, we hate Clayton. We hate Clayton. And then I read something that started to feel like fiction, which was her saying, a quote within the article, "I called the Scottsdale police because I was afraid of the safety of my unborn babies." And I'm going, this ain't Clayton. This isn't Clayton.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's just all fan fiction. It was a Pearl Harbor style attack on him that she used everything she could. I'm afraid of their safety. I'm afraid of him. I want an order of protection, all these things.
Right.
And she gets a temporary order of protection against him. And at that same time, starts fighting with people online and continues to share all of her evidence. But her evidence is parts of text messages. And I go, I just want to know the full conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't seem right. And at that point, Clayton reveals, I'm not the first person she's done this to.
Does he also reveal that he didn't actually sleep with her?
Not at first.
Okay.
So what comes out was an email so she starts sharing all of this on Medium articles and Reddit, and she's sharing private emails with him with redactions. And I understand you redact names and stuff. I'm the anonymous woman. She didn't want to say who she was. And it's like, fine, whatever. But then she redacts this one line. And then we get the original copy of the email, and she redacted the line where Clayton said, "Hey, Jane, you're not pregnant. We only had oral sex." And at this point, everyone's going, because the line she used in like the Sun article was, "We were intimate," or "We were sexually intimate."
Yeah.
She danced around these terms.
Yeah.
So they start calling the blowjob baby. So everyone that was mad at Clayton starts to look at her. And this is where I say fly too close to the sun, because that's the Greek mythology of Icarus, who had his wings made out of beeswax. And they warned him, don't fly too close to the sun. You're going to melt your wings. And that's what happened. And then he drowned in the ocean. She's drowning in her own lies. And the irony is, because she leaked the story to the sun, she flew too close to the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's a great.
And at this point, and that's the whole flying too close to the sun, is this is the first victim that had public, interest. So you get this audience of badass women who all come together and join this private group called The Flock. They are all vetted. And I was like, they're all just trying to call her on her bullshit. And they start feeding me information. Clayton reveals that one of the ultrasounds she used was actually proven to be fabricated. And and you start to look at it and go, oh my gosh. And the more information that comes out, like holy water on an exorcism, she just
Spirals.
doubles down.
Yeah.
She goes spiral. She starts to threaten to sue everybody. At this point, she's still, emailing me and I got to shout out to Reality Steve because he's the only one initially that was dealing with her, and because of that, we had massive targets on her back. And she was just she was just gaslighting us all. And I can truly now understand what gaslighting is, because I wanted to believe her. I go, maybe she's right. Maybe Clayton is the monster. Like, we don't really know here. What's true?
Well, because it's so hard when you don't want to not believe a victim who has, like, what if she was pregnant and then all of this comes out and you're now you've used it on your platform to talk about it, and Reality Steve's talking about it, so you're like, oh shit. And gaslighting will make you truly feel crazy, like to the point where Clayton thinks he's actually gotten a girl pregnant by just having oral sex.
And he believes it.
That's
he believes
so
it to an extent.
sad.
To an extent. Not the whole time, but early on, before he knew there were other victims, which we'll get into. And she used that against him. She used the idea. Clearly, he believed it. He bought the pregnancy test, which she tested positive. We don't know. HCG is a hormone, I believe. I don't want to mess this up. That you can buy. People are going, did she get this through horse fertility level medication? Right. Crazy thoughts. Nobody knows. But it is.
But she was with Clayton when she took the test. He didn't watch her pee and look at the stick, but she was there.
Right. And I've also seen other videos of her taking pregnancy tests.
There's other videos of it.
I've been provided every shred of evidence from every angle where people go, we don't know what happened.
And there's never been a baby.
Frame. She opens it. She goes down into frame and she comes back and is pregnant. Now, could she be pouring Diet Coke on it? I have no idea.
Right.
There are ways to trip these tests. I have no idea.
Off the Vine is sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, the best way to squeeze things into your schedule is to know what's important to you and then make it a priority. Now, something that has become a priority and a non-negotiable in my life is going to therapy. It's been that way for a while now, and I've been able to learn to set boundaries, learn how to deal with certain dilemmas, also pinpoint what exactly I want to put my energy into. Now, I know some of you might be thinking I don't have time to go to therapy. Me either, but BetterHelp is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, to be flexible, and suited to your schedule so that you can do therapy whenever and wherever you want. So if you are thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists anytime for no additional charge, which is huge for finding the right therapist for you. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit betterhelp.com/vine today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/vine. Okay, you guys, how's your sock drawer looking? How's it looking? Is it scary? Maybe time for a little spring cleaning and refresh? Bombas just dropped a bunch of absurdly soft new socks, tees, and underwear to help you get that drawer in a better place while doing a little good. So let me tell you how. Once you try Bombas, you'll never look at socks the same way again. Let me just start with that. They've obsessed over details like foot-hugging honeycomb arch support, anti-blister tabs, and cushioned footbeds that feel like little pillows for your feet, not to mention buttery soft toes and underwear with no itchy tags. I'm telling you, I never thought I would be so obsessed with socks. You know how you always lose one or two in the dryer? I will make sure I do not lose these. Bombas has a one purchased, one donated mission, which is awesome. So every time you buy their socks, tees, or underwear, you also donate essential clothing to someone facing homelessness. And to date, Bombas has donated over 100 million clothing items and counting. I'm so impressed by that. And also, I like knowing that if I'm getting the wrong size or my dog chews one up or whatever, Pinot, or I lose something while I'm traveling, Bombas has a 100% happiness guarantee. They make it easy to get a free return, exchange, or even a replacement. So are you ready to get comfy this spring and give back? Head on over to bombas.com/vine and use code VINE for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/vine and use code VINE at checkout.
One of the ways she manipulates is she says, I've got restraining orders against these other guys, so you can't believe them because they have a vendetta against me. So what happens is Clayton starts to reveal, oh my gosh, this has happened before. And he's like hesitant to share stuff because you're not supposed to share things publicly, you know? So he goes, this happened before. As I find out later, there is a lady in Phoenix, beautiful, amazing, kind lady named Ash. She finds this story and goes, oh my gosh, this lady, Jane Doe, did this to my man. And she's like, we need to tell Clayton. And the guy just got done with several years of lawsuits against her. He's had his reputation destroyed.
Oh my God.
No one's believed him. Why? Because he's not famous. In this case, he had clout, and but each of these guys, Clayton and this other guy, both 6'5", big, strong guys. It's almost like the bigger, the harder they fall for her.
Yeah.
And so she goes, we need to help this guy Clayton out. And the guy's like, oh, I don't know. Since the story broke, that's Greg and Clayton have become really good friends. I've met them all. Ash, they just had a baby, Ash and Greg. So he's moved on and he's happy. They've got a healthy baby. She's like a beautiful, you don't want to mess with her.
Yeah.
And so she's the one who's like, we need to let Clayton know.
Right.
And they open the book. Here's what she does. Here's how it works. So at that point, Clayton knew he was being duped, but still, it was like, did I knock her up? Like there was still that, like, we're bumping and grinding. Did this happen?
Right. Yeah. You never know. But also, poor Clayton thinking like that was a possibility. And the audacity must have been on sale that week for her to think that she could trick him into even just like saying she's pregnant from oral sex. Like that's.
I'll tell you why she thought she could do that. I'll get into that. But there is evidence that I'm going to share with you that is out of her mouth. And by the way, when she doesn't like evidence, she claims someone hacked into her account. So all of this could have been hacked, but I've asked her before she knew I was about to share evidence. Hey, was this you? Yeah. Okay, because it's medical fraud. No, not me. What are you talking about? So we've got all of that. But I find out that there's this previous guy named Mike before Greg. Okay. So right now, Clayton's victim number 3. Now, in reality, we've got about 7 of these different victims, some of which we've shared that are all interpersonal relationships, some other types. But I've said this: she can't fart without us knowing what she had for lunch. And I don't mean that in a stalker way. I'm just saying people have come forward.
Yes.
Okay. We've got when she's having court dates, the security, audience are showing up with my merch shirt, and the security guards know about it.
Incredible.
Even Hannah Clark, FBI, clearly has been watching this case. So we get a hold of these court documents, and she immediately goes, "Those must all be sealed." She says that they must be sealed. She knows that they're not, but I'm scared. Maybe they are sealed. I'm like, maybe this is like, are things sealed? I don't know. I've never been in these lawsuits. It's very hard to get things sealed, and none of this is sealed. Okay. So these are affidavits, one of which is from victim number 1's sister's boyfriend, who was there when he tried to break up with her in 2016 in San Francisco when they both lived there. They organized, Jane Doe's father, again, he's this famous radio DJ, organized a sit down. How can we get this relationship to work? And this is what they said in a sworn affidavit. That he said in court, right here, this guy Colin, I specifically remember being called by Michael, which is the guy that Jane was dating, to come to Jane Doe's apartment in December of 2016 for a meeting with Jane Doe and her father to discuss Jane's desire to continue the relationship. Jane had been claiming that she was pregnant and had been threatening Mike with not having an abortion if he ceased to date her. How convenient. This is the same claim she's going to make in several other years. Right. During the meeting, which her father, I'm calling Daddy Doe, steered, Dad told Michael that his daughter had a tendency to exaggerate or even flat out make things up. Jane was complaining of depression and suicidal thoughts at the fear of her relationship with Michael ending and was very distraught. If someone's going to kill himself, you want to do whatever you can to help them. Right. Now,
especially if it's your daughter.
And the boy has cried wolf at this point because she's claimed that she would kill herself to me, which is why the FBI got involved.
She did to you. She said, okay.
Which we'll get to that audio, right? So once you see the pattern, you go, we can't take you seriously. This is emotional abuse and blackmail is what it is. But early on, and this is where I feel so bad for this guy, Michael, his stepdad is dying of cancer at the time. And he's literally postponing time he's supposed to be spending with his dad to try to prevent this woman from killing herself and from this magical thing.
And thinking she's pregnant.
Yeah. What does he get out of this after playing her games and doing all this? Well, she now has a restraining order against him. And she uses that to say, those records are sealed. He's abusive. I have a restraining order. When we find out, it's very easy to get a restraining order. Meanwhile, at the time, which is information I just found out, she was actually claiming to be her sister while living in this building in San Francisco. Maybe because it was a rent-controlled building and she didn't whatever, but people would meet her and go, you're so-and-so. And it turns out she was actually claiming to be her sister, which will be interesting in a couple of years. So hang on to that. Put that in the back pocket. And I just wanted to share that because I wanted to share this other sworn statement from Greg Gillespie, victim number 2. Okay. And again, we start to piece this all together end of September. She starts to say, I'm going to sue you if you share this.
Okay.
Are we okay?
I'm following. Yep.
Okay. So the reason why she told me that Greg Gillespie was wrong and that she's the right one and she has a restraining order against him is because Greg Gillespie's lawyer didn't even want to work with him. And you go, geez, his lawyer's dropping him. This sounds like a real problem.
Right.
Here's what we find out. This is probably the most jaw-dropping aspect of this all, although I might top that in a little bit. She's going through this lawsuit with with Greg Gillespie, victim number 2. The lawsuit's the order of protection, and they're trying to, basically sue each other for harassment. She's also trying to sue him for, all these emotional distress. Everything ends up getting dropped. She emails the judge's assistant, which is highly illegal. Everything's got to be done through the court.
Okay.
And it's not the first time she does it. She also did that attempting to extort Clayton, which I'm going to share in a little bit. That happened this week. So we're building a pattern here, folks.
Yes.
Hi, Marlene. Marlene's the judicial assistant to Honorable Allison Backus. Hi, Marlene. And again, we should give a trigger warning to people. Like, this is heavy. She claims miscarriage. She claims domestic violence, rape. This is heavy. So just so people know.
Okay.
I hate to email you again, but there is a major issue with the defendant, Mr. Greg Gillespie, and his attorney, Mr. Greg Woodnick, that needs to be brought to Judge Backus's attention privately before she rules on the motion to extend filed by my now former attorney, Carrie Ramos. She also filed a claim against her own attorney, trying to get her disbarred. That's just say that's for whatever. And yeah, jaw dropping. I know. I tell people this. I say put a pillow underneath you because you're gonna hurt your jaw if you. So she says on March 4th, 2022, I was drugged, violently assaulted, and raped. I have strong reason to believe that both the defendant and his counsel were involved. She never met this guy, the lawyer.
God.
She never met him. And
she's claiming the lawyer has sexually assaulted
or
her.
in some way has conspired to be a part of this. Yes. And there's a pending FBI investigation regarding the incident. Her saying pending FBI investigation is in bold, which is also important because she also said there was a pending FBI investigation against me. Basically, she files a tip. She calls him, says, did you get my message? Yeah, we'll look into it. Hey, there's a pending. That's what she does.
Okay.
She said, to my knowledge, neither the defendant nor his counsel are aware that they are being looked into. I was worried that submitting a motion ex parte, which means her going to the judge without her lawyer, could accidentally be publicly e-filed and accessed by them, which would pose a threat to my safety. I apologize for sending an email, but I could not think of any other way to alert the judge about this without giving the other side confidential information about what has transpired. She's so worried about the other side hearing these crazy moves she's pulling. The response by Marlene goes, Miss Jane Doe, ex parte communication with the court is not allowed. I am copying opposing counsel on this email so that they're aware of what I'm telling you. And of course, this becomes ridiculously important because this, there's no money to be made in these family court scenarios for these lawyers.
Right.
So in my opinion, I'm looking at this going, Woodnick Law doesn't need the money to deal with his reputation being tarnished. He probably was just like, we can't be a part of this bullshit.
Right.
And that's just my guess. I don't know what happened. Maybe he just knew like that his client was already not able to pay the bills because it's one thing after another. So she's using, without telling me these details, that must be why his lawyer left him, not telling me that she used the most weaponized thing you could use against someone. And by the way, this is an insult to all survivors of all types.
Yes. Absolutely.
And it's just beginning.
Yeah.
So from there, we get and again, Greg's sworn affidavit is similar to Mike's, which is similar to Clayton's, which all say the same thing.
Right.
We broke up. Greg just got through a bad relationship, and his buddies were convincing him, go home with that girl. She was in on a bar or whatever. And he goes, the defendant and I went on 3 dates. We had a sexual relationship one evening. I politely ended the relationship 9 days after our first encounter. She did not take the rejection well, at which point I understood, listened, but politely let her know that there will not be a future relationship between us. She continued to harass me for 48 hours. I asked her to stop reaching out. 24 hours went by with no contact. 11 days after we were sexually intimate. She sent me a photo of a positive pregnancy test. We used 2 forms of protection during our one encounter. Again, I don't know what those 2 forms are. Pull out, condom, whatever.
Birth control.
Who knows? Have your own.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are going to double check their condoms now. So he finds out that the ultrasound image she used was a reverse Google searched image from 2015. So he finds out that it's just fake. There's also evidence in these court filings that she had a high-powered lawyer send threatening messages basically saying this guy, Kotchit Law, that's his name. It's like Kotchit, Petrie, and whatever. It's the name of the law firm. She knew this guy. She called him Uncle Joe. You know, it's like a family friend, right? High-powered stuff. They allege in these documents that she took the letterhead of this high-powered attorney and emailed herself from the attorney saying, we think we have a great case against him. We'd be happy to help you out. Whatever the cost is, we're here to help you. Like that type of deal. The attorneys call them out. Turns out the people that she used in her copy and paste photoshopping, one of them doesn't even work at the company anymore. That law firm denied ever sending that email, but also refused to cooperate. That law firm's good friends with her dad. So the amount of privilege and audacity happening right now to get away with this. So it just kind of just goes away. We don't think of it. We don't think of the fact that he broke up with her and 11 days later, she knows she's pregnant.
Right.
Until 11 days after Clayton Echards' infamous blowjob.
Same thing, 11 days after?
Give or take a day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I bet 11 days after, she goes, you know, I'm feeling pregnant. I think I'm pregnant. And you would only say that if you knew you were going to test positive.
Right.
I'm not saying it's the neurology, medicine. I have no idea what it is. But the confidence she had that she was going to pee on a stick and test positive was there. So she goes, and it's all about control.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you think what is she doing this for? Is she doing it for money? And then it's like, if she breaks up with this guy and she's bringing her dad in to convince them to stay together, does she actually want to stay together? Or would she just then have that power to break up with him? Like, what is it for her?
So she uses life, the ability to create life, as a weapon against these men. She actually tries to get them to sign a contract with her. With this previous victim, she said, if you date me with intention, these are words she uses, if you date me with intention, I'll abort the baby. She's like, I got the pill. I got the abortion pill. I'll do it. We'll get rid of the baby if I think, and of course, women and men, everyone's, and again, at this point, I'm covering this story and my wife's pregnant.
Right.
But the world doesn't know. We're doing the standard wait time. And I'm developing levels of empathy I could never understand for women, right? Yeah. Just in the sense of like, you don't know early on in a pregnancy anything, anything could be, is it okay? You're worried. I've come to realize our babies due May 1st. I've come to realize the rest of my life, I'll be worried about bullshit. I'm just going to be worried. Yeah. And I'm getting offended and I'm kind of feeling like this justice is just not coming out. And at the same time, so many people online are joining Justice for Clayton subreddit, which gets taken down. It's been taken down multiple times. She's had other accounts taken down. She's had websites taken down. The Bachelor subreddit decides not to talk about this. They have me banned, by the way, for
the Bachelor subreddit?
The subreddit of 300,000 people are not giving this case the attention, and he needs it. He needs help. He needs an army. I mean, he really does, because she's claiming, I've got unlimited funds. I'm going to deal with it. So...
And there's never been a baby born out of this.
No baby has come. There is no little baby DNA has arrived, but we will get into that when the blood tests actually come in. Okay. So as far as we know now, she's used rape, coercion. She's tried to, and you go, why does she want to do this? Well, money's not everything, but the money is the symbol for power and equity. Mm-hmm. And she told a story which became a TEDx video, which is not a TED Talk. TED Talks are like,
yeah, I've done a TEDx.
I've been shitting on TEDx for so long.
I realize it's not a TED Talk.
No, it's good, but
So she got to do one?
So she did one about her ex-boyfriend, which I believe is Michael, this guy from 2016, and how she went on a trip to Iceland to Reykjavik.
And this is victim number 1.
As far as we know now. It turns out he'll end up being not number... There's 2 before him, Michael and Andrew, or Matt and Andrew, God bless you. But anyway, and a landscaper named Sean, but that's a whole different story. So there's women too, but there's at least 2 female victims. And by victim, I mean people that have been emotionally abused. Yeah. Some have gone to therapy over this, and they don't want to, they just don't want to deal with it because she'll fuck with your income. She just knows how to get you at the jugular. So this guy,
I can't
Mike...
wait for this podcast to come out.
No, you're in a... Trust me, you're You're untouchable. You're in.
Thank God I'm not doing a
Well-
Phoenix wine signing bottle. Like she just shows up.
Which, by the way, I'm headlining the new improv in Phoenix, March 28th, and I've got Clayton Echard as a special guest. So
Higher security.
we have
please.
security. They have that comedy club already has really good security, but
Okay.
I have alerted the local sheriff's department in my town here because sheriffs have been called in Los Angeles. We'll get into more of that later, but I've been told by people who know about this, go buy some cookies and bring them to your police. So they know who you are. There is a Netflix documentary of a man who got swatted and killed because of someone calling a prank on someone. So
Yes.
my family will not be, at any extra risk. And as we've talked about, my wife is very emotional. She's 7 months pregnant, glowing. I can't present her this stress. So I'm battling this and then leaving the room going, hey, honey, how are you?
Yeah, everything's great.
And I have had to warn her, hey, there is a process server trying to serve me restraining order papers, which we'll get into.
All right, Vinos, introducing your must-have makeup essential, CoverGirl's Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence, okay? You can wear it alone, but what I've been doing is actually using it as a primer. It is unbelievable. I use it under my favorite foundation, and I've noticed after 2 weeks, I've been on it for 2 weeks. It has improved my complexion, my skin texture, and overall firmness. I'm so excited because I'm taking this on the road with me for my live podcast tour. And with this product containing 71% water, your girl's gonna be looking plump. She's gonna be looking plump and youthful up on that stage. And this will be my secret. So it's an instant burst of hydration for up to 24 hours. That's what I'm talking about. And you can get the Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence only from, say it with me now, Easy Breezy Beautiful CoverGirl. Okay, small, easy changes in your skincare routine can have amazing results, okay? And your secret weapon should be Dime Beauty. Now, Dime Beauty is a clean, high-end skincare that is affordable and it really does work. Dime did not sacrifice performance just to make it clean either. And when I say clean, Dime is 100% transparent about every single ingredient, so you can use their products daily with confidence. Now, if you want to take the guesswork out of your routine, I suggest you start with their Works collection, the Restorative Night Cream, best thing ever. You don't have to remember the order of a 10-step routine. No one has time for that. The Works system is everything you need in one powerful package. So it includes a gentle cleanser, a toner, 2 incredible serums, and 2 luxurious moisturizers, plus Dime's sold out retinol alternative, the TBT cream, finally back in stock. So make sure you check that out while you're there. Imagine all the benefits without the peeling, the redness, all the issues that do usually come with the retinol. So Dime has over 2 million happy customers and their product reviews are literally all 5 stars. So if you haven't checked out Dime, where have you been? Love your skin again. Go to dimebeautyco.com to unlock your discounts. That's dimebeautyco.com. Dime Beauty, clean, affordable, luxurious skincare. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Now, I know you're probably juggling a million things while tuning into this podcast because we are all these little overachievers just going and doing. Maybe you're driving, cleaning, squeezing in a workout, but if you are not behind the wheel, here's something productive you can do right now. Get an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's super convenient. It could end up saving you some serious cash, all from the comfort of your own phone. Now, switching to Progressive could mean saving an average of nearly $750. Plus, they offer a ton of discounts like savings for insuring multiple vehicles or being a homeowner. So just like my podcast keeps you company whenever you need, Progressive is there for you 24/7, ensuring you're covered no matter what life throws your way. So why not make the most of your multitasking skills? Head over to progressive.com and get a quote now, joining the over 28 million of drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates national average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts may not be available in all states and situations.
So anyway, Michael in her TEDx is this terrible boyfriend who's berating her on a flight, and some woman hears about it and writes a notepad, something on a napkin, like, you deserve better, honey, when this whole, like, would be a very sweet scenario. And this woman might have witnessed him being angry. But as it turns out, this is after he already tried to break up with her, dealing with his dying father, and trying to prevent her from killing herself. She books a trip to Iceland for them together. And it's this date with intention that she's pulled on all of them, which we'll get into here. And we actually have contracts that she created, again, in some bizarre attempt to date Clayton and just say, date me for a couple weeks. I mean, I don't know. Does she think the blowjobs are going to get better? Like, if the blowjob did, trust me, as a guy, if the blowjob didn't seal the deal,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to do.
Also, but wait, she wrote a contract for him to continue to date her?
Yeah, so she gets to this point where she goes.
Never thought of that.
Where she goes. You didn't have a contract? Come on, Kaitlyn, you're slipping here.
Yeah, well, moving forward.
So we'll go to the judge stuff later and all of that. But she attempted to convince Clayton to have sex with her. At this point,
after the 2 BJs.
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, he believes maybe she is pregnant. This is one of the craziest emails. I got to go a little close to me because it's small. This is all public. This is all available. You know, it doesn't just live on Google. You got to request this type of stuff, but it's available to the public. She talks about being physically and emotionally exhausted. This is June 28th. I just need clarity as to what we're doing. And then at this point, he said, lose my number. I don't want to deal with you.
This is an email to Clayton.
To Clayton.
Okay.
She goes, I couldn't give a shit that you were the Bachelor and still know nothing about you other than the clips I saw of you with 2 girls when I was angry at you. Shout out to Rachel, Rekia, and Gabby Wendy. I want to get to know you and be a great partner for you. I would feel exactly the same way if I was in this situation with any man. I need to care about someone and trust them to consider ending a human life when I want nothing more than to be a mom someday. So she's saying, I need to trust you in order for me to take this to take these pills.
To abort her unborn twins.
Yeah,
and she's claiming they're twins.
And I think the majority of abortions are not surgical. They are through pills.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to bounce back to that in a second. But in Arizona, and I could be wrong, but at least she claims that in Arizona, the law is you have to look at an ultrasound first. Okay. So she actually emails Clayton's dad in June, probably because Clayton's blocked her.
Right.
Saying, I told Clayton last week that I was going to go to California for the weekend, and that if I was going to get abortion pills, it would be much easier to do so there in California for many reasons, and less traumatic because there isn't a law there like there is in Arizona that the mother has to view the ultrasound. Hard to get abortion pills when you don't have an ultrasound to view.
Right. She literally.
And their law is you have to look at the ultrasound because they want to make sure you know what you're doing. She knows she doesn't have an ultrasound for them to look at.
Right.
That's my opinion. People can figure this
yeah.
out because there has yet to be an ultrasound
right.
that's not fake. So she says she went to Planned Parenthood, which confirms that she had an ultrasound that was consistent with the conception date of May 20. She never shares actually any proof of this. So she's so good at showing people she's got the bullets, but there are no bullets.
Right. So she's claiming she did that, but then she has 0 proof of it.
Yeah. So much so that she says there was a gestational sac, meaning a viable pregnancy, and that I refused to view the ultrasound and take the abortion pills at the clinic. They don't typically allow you to take them home, but since I live out of state and was as conflicted as I was, they allowed me to. So now she's claiming, I got the pills on me. So she's extending the deadline to date her because he wasn't playing ball with the initial abortion deadline.
Oh my gosh, this is so sick. Okay.
It's only beginning.
I know. So she extends. This is just bizarre. Okay.
And she actually shares how she's weaponizing this in this email. And it's a long email. I'm only sharing the good parts.
To Clayton's dad.
Yes.
Jesus.
Prayers to Clayton's dad.
Oh.
And I don't think he responded. I think at this point, maybe he knew. I'm not sure. Now that we know we have a viable pregnancy, things seem all the more urgent. I'll continue to say until I'm blue in the face, I love Clayton, blah, blah, blah. It was explained to me at Planned Parenthood that medication abortions are most successful early on in the pregnancy, and that as weeks go on, they become less effective. So she's using time now. Every movie, the bomb's ticking. Every movie, every hard sale, better buy by end of President's Day. It's always time, right? Because it stops your rational thinking.
Yeah.
You start to panic. Mm-hmm. Well, we got to do this. We don't have time. We better go to Iceland or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she has some deal in Iceland. It's like, oh, good to see you again, Jane. She says, I only mention this because once the prenatal paternity test is taken, it's a done deal. So she mentions that a prenatal paternity test, because Clayton says, I want to know if I'm the father.
Right.
And she says, well, that's going to take 7 to 10 days to get back. And if we don't do this abortion now, in 7 to 10 days, I'm no longer going to want to do it. So she literally says this. She says, my preference has been to have the baby all along, so that's obviously not an issue for me. But if it's Clayton, he needs to know that. I haven't lied, and she goes back and forth saying basically, all right, we'll take the prenatal test. That was her way of saying, trying to convince him not to want to take it, saying, we'll take it, but by that time, it's too late. I'm having the kid.
Yeah. And so what did Clayton do in that situation when his dad gets the email, she's saying all this stuff? What is his response?
Well, I don't have all of the answers here.
Does he say okay, give me I'll do the, what is he?
At this point, I believe he wants to take the prenatal paternity test.
Okay.
At some point, now, go back to the article in The Sun, she's pregnant with twins.
Yeah.
Why the hell would she change the story to twins? Also, pregnant with victim number 2 at twins. Why would she? And every time she does this, her techniques evolve. She gets better at it.
Of course.
Well, victim number 2 was a still shot of a reverse Google image search. I might as well get a video.
Right.
And then so we find actual evidence of this video early October. She claims she's now pregnant with twins, and the flock scour the internet, and they find a 2.5 minute long video from 2015 or 2016 that is a twins pregnancy. I take that video, I find her shorter version, and I edit out all of the parts she edited out and shrink it together, and it's overlapped on top of each other, the same exact video. So she's claiming twins with Clayton, and you go, why twins? Why twins with Greg? At the time, she believed that you could not test who the father was prenatally before the birth with twins. Because there's like floating DNA around, but if there's multiple DNA, more than one baby, you have the mom and you have the dad. So you know their DNA, but then you have all this other DNA, so you can't properly know who the dad is. That's what they thought. So Clayton, like any guy who finds out they're being accused of being a father of twins they don't want, goes to the ends of the earth to find new age technology that's being done in Maryland called RavGen. RavGen is the first technology, I guess, that can find prenatal twins paternity. So he starts, he's no longer playing games with her, right? He's being like, we need to do this test.
Yeah.
She's claiming he's dodging these paternity tests. And that looks bad. You go, oh, geez.
Yeah.
I want to believe you, but if you're dodging these tests.
What are you trying to hide?
He's claiming he's on the way to the test. And he calls saying, hey, I'm coming for the 9 a.m. And they go, we thought you canceled. So we don't even know what happened there. But he's like adamantly going, I'll pay for these tests. Let's do it. Let's do it. I want to take the test.
Yeah.
So at the same time, she's making threats to go public. She literally shares with him excerpts from, here's what I'm sending to Page 6. Here's what I'm sending to the New York Post. And I'll read the tip that she was sending. I have a tip regarding Clayton Echard and a pregnancy. His treatment of the mother is horrendous and consistent with his image as a manipulator. Again, this image that he's a manipulator really doesn't exist other than, what you've seen on TV. And again, he wasn't a manipulator on TV. The only thing he was guilty of on The Bachelor was being too honest.
Yes.
Everyone was like, bro, you're too honest. Don't tell them y'all banged them in front of each other. Just please.
Yeah.
As men were watching and going, yes, they say, well, we want all honesty, just not that much.
Yeah, not that. Yeah.
Too much. So then she says, he's also not the self-help and suicide prevention advocate he claims to be. Despite his efforts on social media to prove that he is a changed man, that is not who he is in private. I have plenty of evidence. I'm part of the story, but will only submit it if you keep my name anonymous. Kate Convenient. Oh, I want to be anonymous.
Yeah, no
I will
kidding.
not give the information without signing an agreement that confirms that. and they wouldn't take the bait.
Who is that to?
Huffington. Says Page 6 in New York Post, but we also have evidence she sent it to Huffington Post. None of which they would not run with the story
Because she wouldn't give her name.
But at the time, she's just showing the drafted up story. I'm ready to send it.
Yeah.
Clayton, come on, date me. I'm going to send it. Dating contract. And there are changes to it. So clearly Clayton was either with her, because you can see moments where it was supposed to be 2 weeks, but it was changed to 1. So maybe he was even convinced, like, all right, I'll give you 1 week. And she's like, all right. So for a period of 1 week, and it said like weeks, 1 week, while determining the best course of action for their pregnancy, Party A and Party B will exclusively explore a relationship with intention, meaning with the goal of it turning into something long-lasting and meaningful. By the way, victim number 2, Greg Gillespie, I think played this game with her and did date her for the week. And then she took the abortion pills, or Plan B, or whatever it was, which we don't believe she ever took, because we don't believe she was pregnant. And then afterwards, he blocks her. He just blocks her. And at that point, she sues him for abortion coercion, which is later dropped because that's not a thing. No one's forcing you to take abortion pills. You know what I mean? It's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't live up to the so she thinks she can just make these contracts out of nowhere.
This is bizarre behavior.
It's bizarre. So anyways, it goes on and on. If a joint decision is made to terminate the pregnancy, then Party A and Party B will stipulate to dismiss this court. So she has a court hearing. So she says, if we agree to do this, I'll drop the hearing once the pregnancy is confirmed by a doctor to no longer be viable. During the 1 week period, if the decision is made to continue the pregnancy, and it goes on and on, there is no obligation. It's like, what in the hell is she doing here? And these are contracts she never thought would get out, and they did, and they're embarrassing. Embarrassing is like
A nice way to put it.
Oh, that was all to say this really crazy part. Attempting to convince Clayton to have sex with her.
Oh, God.
In regards to intimacy, June 28th, 2023, third paragraph. I know it's important to you, and it is to me as well. If you think about it, having sex with me is the safest thing you can do at this point.
No.
I want the world to know I've got the producers' jaws dropped right now.
Yeah.
They're like, well, tell me more. I'm already pregnant, and if we choose to go this route and trust each other to have sex, then we are at that point where I would be taking abortion pills, so there is no risk. Also, under no circumstance would I have an abortion if you want to be on dating apps or seeing other women while we are figuring this out. I would want to date with intention. So, well, there it is, folks. Just bang her anyway. She's already pregnant. And at that point, if he did that, then she could really, then there's like actual,
Right, of course.
You know, maybe he actually could knock her up. Maybe.
But who would read that and go, I'm turned on. Let's have sex.
Well, I guess I'll tell you Clayton's response.
Okay.
And the subject title was funny because it goes, having the baby if I don't hear back tonight. Hard sale. And he goes, I will not date you in any capacity as I do not have any interest in you. So you can proceed however you'd like. So at this point, he's being stern, and these stern statements are the ones that end up getting used against him months later. But like, this is all, and I couldn't imagine how lonely Clayton felt.
Oh,
this is all privately being done. It's being held over his head. I've had the support of thousands of people online. At this point, he's thinking, no one's going to believe me. I am so right now. He says, you have told me 1,000,000 times now that you'll give me one more chance to move forward with dating you, but I'm 100% not going to do that. Stop communicating with me. And it goes blah, blah, blah. So he starts to show the signs that he wants her to stop communicating with her, which he'll then later use to get a harassment lawsuit against her so she can no longer contact her.
Right.
But the parents, and people go, how are the parents involved in this?
Which parents?
Her parents.
Oh, her parents. Yeah.
How would anybody let her get away with this for this long? I mean, there's literal Instagram photos that she has posted from when she was a child with a pillow under her shirt, which, by the way, I don't blame anyone. Everyone pretends to be pregnant as a baby, you know?
Sure.
But
that's posted on her Instagram?
it was. I mean, it might be gone. But yeah, all that evidence this is all available, right? Nothing I'm sharing here has not been publicly shared, or to this point, we will get you some breaking news. But so she's emailing his dad. It's like, what more could happen? She's already emailed the dad. How could we make this any worse? Jane's mom emails Clayton.
Oh, Lord.
This is where, I say this saying all the time, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Yeah.
It is insane what she thinks she's about to get away with. So you go, is her mom a part of this or not? Because if her parents are a part of this, then they are now enabling chaos.
Totally.
And I'm not just saying because at this point, 3 strong men have had their characters ruined. I'm talking about the hours, days, weeks, and months of bandwidth pulled away from domestic violence unit, police officers, detectives, FBI. All of this bandwidth, taxpayer money, has gone towards fan fiction. So the mom emails Clayton. And again, this could be her. This could be her. At this point, we do have evidence, like hard evidence, that the mom has called Clayton. Oh, she's in the back of these FBI phone calls. The Scottsdale police going, oh, he's an Eddie, get him. He's so she's egging her daughter on in one way or another.
Okay.
Or also has the same issue where they believe this. So this is her mom, who again was supposed to be some respected journalist or whatever.
Okay.
Hi, Clayton. Have you heard from Jane today? She was supposed to be at the barn for an early appointment with one of the horses, but the vet called me to say she didn't show up for it. I checked my email and saw that I missed one she sent very early this morning after I went to bed. The content is private, but given the circumstances, I think it's important that you read it.
So basically, she's saying instead of calling her mom or texting her mom, she sent her an email that morning. The content of it is private, meaning what?
I'll give anyone in the audience, I'm joking, $1 million if you can find it. The last time you emailed your mom, you call your voice note, maybe, sure. But how convenient, and it all comes down to convenience, that we are now going to see the mom sharing with Clayton, hey, I hate to do this. It's private info, but this is what the daughter's saying. I'll just share. It's long. I'll share. I know I'm out of print. I need to sue her for printer ink because it really... The first time I printed this out, my printer was like literally steam smoking out of it afterwards. Mom, you've always said I was... Okay, so what we know at this point, or at least believe,
yes,
and I don't want to tell you how to think, I believe she wrote this to her mom, which might have been her. She has, they have access to all their accounts, right? That she wrote this with the intention of Clayton reading it. Mom, you've always said one of the best and worst things about me is that I look to what's 10 steps ahead and enjoy what's right in front of me. The future has always given me hope and been something I look forward to, but that's not the case anymore. And she goes on and on and on to explain how she's dated some of these guys. Her sister, Jane Doe's sister, has emphasized how she feels like she couldn't raise her son without help from the father. So, and she just explains why it'd be important for Clayton to be a part of, to be in this relationship and how she doesn't want to be alone.
Right.
Paragraph 2 is where it gets interesting. I've asked Clayton to explore things with me for a week or two so many times that the phrase has become cliche. It embarrassed me to ask him from day one, but it didn't feel right to never even give things a try considering the situation we found ourselves in. He doesn't know me well enough to know that I didn't seek him out and that he isn't a standout compared to my exes.
Oh.
By the way, she did seek him out. She claims she has never watched The Bachelor. We have sources that say she auditioned for The Bachelor. We have yet to get copies of that, but we have sources that say, no, she auditioned probably 8 to 10 years ago.
Holy shit.
So they did not accept her rose.
I could try and get that audition tape.
There you go. Now, you want to get involved?
Yeah.
Now you're going to get involved.
Yeah.
Then she says, he doesn't know me well enough to know that I didn't seek him out and that he isn't a standout compared to my exes. Well, wouldn't it be wild if she shared a roster of her exes?
Totally.
He's not a billionaire like Garrett.
Oh.
And by the way, the only Garrett billionaire is the founder of Uber.
And did she date him?
We don't know, but we know she sued Uber and probably gets free Uber for life because of an accident she was in. She sued Uber and both her driver and the other driver.
This woman is a con artist to like the T.
Yeah, and maybe she hurt her neck. I mean, it's like, all right, so you sue Uber. I got in a lawsuit when a lady ran me over.
But
like
she's claiming she dated a billionaire Garrett.
Well, not just a billionaire, Garrett. How about a pop star? Not a famous singer like Dean Lewis. I'm old. I didn't know who Dean Lewis was. Do you guys know Dean Lewis? He's like an Australian. He's got 1 million Instagram followers. So I was like, okay. So she says Dean and then in parentheses Lewis. So she's saying this. If her mom knew she dated Dean Lewis.
That is the weirdest email to send your mom
and
ever.
Not an Olympian like Jeremy Bloom.
Oh. Hey, do you want to pick something up at the
And if I ever told him, he'd never believe that I didn't seek them out, nor that I wasn't born with a silver spoon. So it goes on, and you go, oh my gosh. And then she ends it, and then it goes back to the mom. I have called her several times and checked her house, but she's not there. My texts are getting delivered, but she isn't responding to me or her sister. I even called the police, who said you need to wait a much longer time before filing a missing persons report. Can you please text her? I think you would be the only one who would give her who would get her to answer if she is reachable, and we are panicking. Regardless, please email me to let me know you received this.
Oh, I am gonna throw up.
It's like the guy's not into you, honey.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a movie called He's Just Not That Into You?
And you go, okay, well, this is crazy, whatever. She's on these dating apps still. So maybe the founder of Uber did date. Maybe they did go on a date. I don't know. She lived in San Francisco. Maybe who knows? Maybe she swiped right on a guy on the league.
Isn't Garrett married with a family?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know Garrett? I don't know. You're Canadian. Do you all know these billionaires?
No, I mean I do. I did stay at Garrett's house once.
Did you really? Do you know Garrett?
I actually don't know him. I actually don't know him.
Careful. Did you give him a contract to date him?
I didn't stay there. A friend was staying there during F1, and I was like, "Wow, this house is insane." They're like, "It's the owner of." Nope, wasn't Garrett.
Different guy. Hey.
Totally, it was owner of Airbnb, not Uber. Continue.
The Uber of homes. So your audience is big, and sunlight's the greatest disinfectant, and maybe people can help continue to piece this together. But every time I get a piece of credible information, I share it, and I've got, like I said, sources that know her, that know her family, that are very close. And the closer you get to her, I think the more scared people are because they don't want to be retaliated against. This family does have money, and this and that. So this is all just to paint a picture. Oh, we didn't even get to the good stuff. This is all just to, that's the startup here. Just to paint a picture of all of the effort people are going through to find out who the hell this is. Now, and by the way, stop me at any time here, but we'll get to the part where they have the lawsuits going on. She's suing him, he's suing her. We'll get to that part. That's where it gets...
This is Clayton still.
Yeah, super fascinating.
Okay.
But you can't tell Clayton's story without looking at these other stories and going, look, don't get mad at me if I'm wondering about dating with intention and the fact that the parents seemingly were saying, hey, play her game. She threatens this. Just do it, It's almost like, and people have made this relation where they go, it's almost like when your kid has a temper tantrum and they want candy
Like, just
This
give
is the family that gives the
candy.
kid candy.
Yeah.
This is the candy.
Yeah.
So it's going. I go on a baby moon to the Maldives. Beautiful trip with my wife. No one knows we're pregnant still. She's still kind of hiding it, like
Yeah.
suggested photos.
Yeah.
We're just trying to wait to the right time
Yeah.
to tell our family first and all
Yeah.
these things. And I get threatened with a cease and desist, which, by the way, she's been threatening this to me for weeks at this
Right.
point. And I'm kind of at the point like, honey, shit or get off the pot already. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Mind you, if you ever get sent a cease and desist, it's as good as toilet paper. It's
I've
worth
been sent a couple.
I mean, it's worth nothing. It's just a legal way of saying I could sue you, but it's not.
Right.
So I'll get into the cease and desist in a second. October 16th, 2023. At this point, we don't know all of this information. In fact, an email came to me and Reality Steve, and we're trying to swap info with each other, but she's selectively sending him things that I believe she knows he's audio based, which, by the way, if you ever get the chance to talk to him, he's fascinating with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
He gets sent way more stuff than he reveals, which, by the way, he told me that he had he has your spoiler wrong.
Yeah, he did.
And all that. Anyway, he's become look, you see people and you go, he's been sued before, right? But
Yeah.
you see, like I think he lost or they settled or whatever, but like he knows what it's like. So
Yes, he does.
he's been helpful. And him and I get an email sent from Jane Doe, and it's saying, hey, you keep on claiming you want proof. Here's proof. And it's a video of her belly clearly pregnant from neck down, and it's her dad in the hospital rubbing the belly. Her dad's is very sick now, and we're looking at this going, oh boy, what's this? Well, when you open the video on your phone, it's neck down, but when you open the video on your desktop, it's nose down, and you see that it's just not her.
Oh my God.
Her sister had a baby June of 2022. So it's a video where she's showing her dad who's dying of a serious
This
disease.
lady scares me.
And if I'm her sister, and her sister hasn't come out, and I'm not pressuring her to, because
Have you reached out to her sister?
I have not, because I've been sued.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to reach out to family.
Sure.
I know other people have, in one way or another, reached out to the sister. She moved across the country. She could be the only sane one for all we know. She could be the older, pretty sister who, at this point,
Right.
Jane's pretending to be her to stay in her apartment. What we do know is every time when Jane lived in San Francisco before Arizona, she would call the cops on everybody. Someone moves in and forgets to close the door because they're, moving in, so they prop the door open, call the police. We have what I believe to be like smoking gun evidence of her and her mom completely fabricating an assault claim to the police. And that evidence,
there's a video.
I've seen it, and I can't go in any deeper because, to protect sources
Sure.
and things like that. But we've seen all of this, and you go, oh my gosh, but I didn't see this right away. So at this point, we see the video and we go, oh, shoot. And then because we shared it with people, and she doesn't want you to share this, the biggest con artists, they go big, right?
Yeah.
They fake pregnancies,
Yeah.
they fake cancer,
Yeah.
things that are protected medically, and things that are protected by taboo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, who's going to call this out? At this point, we've learned enough information where credibly I had to, and I don't want to have to do this, right? But I had to go to my audience and say, I believe her next step is to fake a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Which today someone called a myth carriage, which is so funny. I was like, I've never thought of a myth carriage.
Wow.
But we just knew this was what was going to happen, which, not to spoil it, we'll get to.
Right.
Because you can't, anyone who's dealt with any of this, it's just so personal.
Ugh, it's just offending so many people and just so sick on so many levels. But I have two questions. One, after you see this email and you open it up on a desktop, you see that it's clearly not her. Do you respond and be like, LOL, that's not you? Or do you hold on to it and
I held on to that email until last week.
and then released it
But
to
not in a sort of premeditated way.
Yeah.
So much content was coming in.
Yeah.
I'm talking, she's battling with people online. She's changing her story. People are screen grabbing and video grabbing everything she's doing.
Yeah.
So at this point, well, before I get into the FBI, which again, and by the way, I'll only do this once. If anyone wants to hear the end of the story, it'll be on Bachelor Rush Hour, my podcast. I have to call it out. I do daily content, and I'm committed to getting the story out in my own protection. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm here to fight for Clayton. Yes, but also
Right.
I have to protect myself. She's still threatening to sue me for a whole boatload of things. I guarantee I'd put my house on it that I would win, but it's substantial, right?
Yes.
Because while she did sue me, she can sue me for much bigger things, but then she would be afraid of the truth coming out.
Sure.
Because you can't sue someone without them providing the evidence, which is all here. So this is where it starts to get a little cuckoo.
What, this?
Yeah,
Now?
no, this is, come on, we're partying. We're having fun. Let's go. So
Wait, can I ask one quick question?
Please.
The video, does she realize that like now in real time, she now knows that that was not her?
If she's watching, we know it's not you.
We know it's not you.
It's a very quick video, and it's clearly not the intended aspect ratio, so it might have been cutting something out. And you don't see a wedding ring on the left. You don't see the left hand in the video. And there's no audio. So he's talking, but there's just no audio in the video.
Of course.
You know when you take videos on your phone and turn the audio off? Get out of here with this shit. But when you divide, and I'm at this point I'm talking to lawyers and I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that she's claiming are like quasi truths here. Like, yes, she did test positive on a pregnancy test. Let's just ruin a guy's life over it,
Right.
So I'm nervous. I'm getting all these threats. And a lawyer told me, he just goes, you have to share this because sharing things publicly prevents the abuse privately. And she banks on
the private abuse.
The weaponization of believing women, which I believe we should believe people until we can look at evidence, and we should just people might disagree, but I just believe that should be the case. We have to remember, people did believe her, even though her story was ridiculous from the start. People did believe her for a couple days.
Yeah.
There is that time where Clayton had a rough few days, but luckily, I believe, and this is why I'm like a pro free speech guy, because I'm just like, let people show you their true colors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're all smart enough to realize that's a crazy person, this or that. So I believe in playing up to people's intelligence here. But you can see all of the examples of which she doesn't want the truth coming out. So she shares something with Steve that she doesn't share with me, and that is the ultrasound video. She's like, I have an ultrasound video. She never shared that with me, but she shared it with Steve, and she also then claimed she never shared it, even though we have a video of it being in her Dropbox with all of the metadata that says it comes from her, which is important because at this point, the morning I was going to the Maldives, it's like a 20-hour flight, right?
Yeah.
It's south of India. It's far away.
It's really far.
It was like a 9 a.m. flight. I'm up at like 2 a.m. perfecting this video that I'm making so I can drop it and turn my phone off so I don't have to deal with it.
Doodles.
And the cease and desist does make it to your internet on the overwater bungalow. The turtles are floating around. Oh boy, I'm being sued. Can I get a Mai Tai right now, please? I'm going to need a Mai Tai. And of course, and I'm getting emails due to the time difference at midnight. So it's like,
God.
all right, you're being sued. Go to bed. And I'm just like, can't even afford this trip. But so
relaxing.
I say all of that because it's important forensically to look at the way a lot of this stuff is going down. On October 16th, a press release arrives to me. It's not rare. You get press releases. It's very standard. It's by a man named Chase J. Jones. Chase J. Jones is about to become the most interesting name you've ever heard of. He writes a hit piece called Clayton Echard, The N-Word Fiasco. And then it's subtitled, Clayton Echard's Problem with the N-Word. And of course, you just assume we have video of Clayton Echard saying the N-Word, okay? And again, two white people, probably not the best place to talk about this,
of course.
Although I've yet to find someone who thinks this is a problem. It's because Kaitlyn, the dancer queen that we know Kaitlyn to be, was dancing to a trending audio on TikTok where the rapper said the N-word.
Yeah.
And they're claiming in this bogus hit piece that Clayton's got this N-word problem. If you wanted to make these claims, go find about 1 million more popular TikTokers or Instagrammers than Clayton. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's still a relatively small 250,000 whatever.
Right.
Like, there's, go after the D'Amelios or whatever, but don't. But also, like, this is clearly during the height of her slamming and trying to get this across. Who the hell is Chase J. Jones? Well, I respond saying, I'd love to run with your article, but I need to FaceTime you. I need to know who you are.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't need to share who you are. This might be a pseudonym. Maybe you're somebody else, but let's just, and I've had to learn through reality, Steve, to do a little FaceTime with a little government ID. Let me just see who you are.
Yeah.
My audience believes me. They don't need to see it, but it needs to be vetted as a journalist through me. No response, crickets. Maybe he responded, but never actually followed through. Chase J. Jones must be so busy because I'm going to share with you multiple attempts to subpoena him, multiple attempts to go through all of this.
Chase J. Jones, a.k.a. Chase J. Doe.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
trying to make it like it's her.
I'm not
It's
going to
her.
provide you smoking guns, but they are warm. Okay. So
Yeah.
they are warm and people can, and I hate to say, do your own research. I've done it all. And
Yeah,
this is
you
as
have.
far as we get. And the research goes to virtual P.O. boxes. So we go, okay, all right, everything's so busy. I'm going to the Maldives, this guy. Well, on October 19th, 2023, he joins my Patreon. Cool. I'll take your $5.
Absolutely.
And I know he joined because I get an email. Hey, so-and-so joined your Patreon. That email doesn't go away. It's like it sends an email. The email doesn't go away, but Chase J. Jones goes away. So I reach out to Patreon and I go, hey, I'm a content creator. I'm making you a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know who this person is who might be harassing me. Well, we can't give you their identity without a subpoena. And I go, well, then me, okay? Because I thought that maybe you'd help me out and just let me know who this person is that might be this person who's trying to, sink my ship here. Well, as far as I'm told, the only way to get a subpoena is I'd have to open a case against them, and maybe it's $500 just to find out it's some weirdo. The bio for Chase J. Jones, all we know about them, they're called like the Bachelor Boy. It's someone no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Their bio is Howard. They go to Howard. They're a second-year journalism student at Howard. It doesn't say Howard University. It just says Howard, which we can assume is Howard University. Could it be some random Howard Community College somewhere? Sure. But Howard University is a historic black university. So Chase J. Jones is black.
Okay.
Or at least whoever's pretending to be them is black. So now, whether it's Chase J. Jones or Jane Doe, it is somebody weaponizing one of the darkest divide in our country.
Yeah.
In the history of it and currently. Say, let's cancel this guy. And you go, oh, maybe he wasn't trying to cancel him. Last paragraph of the press release. And that's why I think we should cancel Clayton Echards.
Stop it.
So it's like, if I can prove that this is Chase J. Jones, then it's an open and shut defamation case.
Right.
Which Clayton probably already has.
Right.
But he would have to foot the bill for that. It's very hard to prove defamation, although I think he could prove it. I think there could be a class action case. Either way, you go, look, I'm not going to be able to find out who Chase J. Jones is unless there's a case against me where someone sues me.
Right.
Well, on October 25th, Jane Doe tried to get a restraining order on me and filed
On
me, Dave Neal, and filed an injunction against harassment, which is called an IAH, which is basically a restraining order.
Okay.
This person's harassing me. I'd like for the court to agree with me so that they stay away from me.
Okay.
Every attempt she's had to get a temporary restraining order, a TRO, in the past, she's pretty much been granted, as far as I know.
Okay.
Because the judge goes, oh, you dated that guy? Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. Because, and again, it's different in every jurisdiction, but in some areas, judges can be held liable if, like, say you want to, you go, oh, my ex is abusive, I need a restraining order, and the judge goes, no, and then say something crazy happens, right? Which in real life happens. The most dangerous kind of threat to you is usually an ex or someone you know.
Right.
I mean, that's just a sad statistic here. And I'm here to let people know that in the real world, not Jane Doe's world, but in the real world, I understand why restraining order exists. I even told my lawyer, I go, look, I don't even care if she gets one against me.
Yeah.
I'm already not saying her name. I'm not talking to her. I'm not reaching out to her. I don't care. And my lawyer's like, no, you do care. You'll lose your Second Amendment rights and other rights you can lose. And I go, oh, I'm applying for a mortgage at the time. I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay, yeah, I do care.
Yeah, I care a lot.
The people pleaser's like, if I get to throw it on, attack me, oh, I won't go within 500 feet of you. Good God. I won't see you in your next horse meet. Sure, whatever. But then he's like, no, you need to care.
Okay.
I don't find this out till I'm home with my family that the restraining order was denied. So she sends me an email, which who would send an email to the person they're trying to get a restraining order against? She sends me an email saying that she's already paid for the processing server that's there to be a guy being like, hey, are you Dave? Yeah, here you go. Yeah. Oh, so me, the content creator, I'm out there with my selfie stick, checking the mail. I'm ready. I'm doing an open mic. I'm doing a stand-up show.
Yeah.
I'm talking on stage, looking at the curtain, waiting, because all they have to do is say, hey, are you Dave Neal? And they go, yeah. Well, here you go. And that's it. It's probably not like Hollywood where it's like, oh, gotcha, bitch. It's not some like big thing. Well, she didn't realize she paid for the delivery of it, but never got approved for it. So for a week, I'm just waiting. And look, hey, so she wins. She got to torment me for a week. It was denied. But because it was denied, there's still a hearing. Which is, I think, you're entitled to like a hearing within 30 days where I have to present my case. And at this point, my audience has been like, Dave, tell me when we can get a GoFundMe for you started. And I've just been like, wait on it. I'm not being sued. Like, just wait on it. It's all threats. And then finally, when I'm in the Maldives, I go, all right, bitch, what are you going to party or what? Are we going to do this? And she does. And so she sends me a cease and desist, which I send to people to be like, I got a cease and desist. And everyone looks into it. And like, no offense to this guy, but he's like a lawyer that no longer has his license in Texas, but now he's in Colorado, and it's like really cheesy. And I'm like, this is what's beautiful about like comedy. You could show up to someone's mansion and be like, I don't really get this thing. You know what I mean? You just like tear shit down, right? And I'm like, I don't really get this cease and desist.
Like, I get to do a bit out of this.
Yeah, his branding's all off. It's kind of cheesy. I think I could make a better cease and desist. And turns out that there's a thing called Up Counsel, which is like Fiverr for law. So you can pay a lawyer and be like, who wants to do this? So the whole cease and desist was, my client says, and then they just copy and paste what the client says. My client says they're pregnant. My client says, and I'm like, and I'm reading it with a hint of critical thinking going, well, this is bullshit. And I call it out. And then the next day, somebody, because we have all the lawyers are watching. Everyone's watching the content. We have FBI. I mean, we have everyone all over so interested in this case because it's ridiculous. But behind the scenes, we have psychologists, people that are psych ward evaluators, people that like deal with this are all watching. And someone goes, I'm in Up Counsel. And she's trying to pay for a second cease and desist. And she was trying to get this lawyer for the second time. She never followed through with it, but I have the email. Where she's like, hey, he says you're not a real lawyer. We should do it. It's like, shut the up already. Come on, let's party. So
yeah, doesn't she know that you're not going to quit?
Right. And I told her that, and I said, look, here's the deal. This isn't quicksand. Like, the more you try to sink me, the more videos I'm going to make. I've made 96 videos about her.
Yeah.
So she uses that saying, he's trying to monetize. It's like, first of all, my monthly YouTube revenue hasn't increased because of this. I have to take content away from other stuff. Right. I want to cover you. Yeah. I want to cover Kaitlyn Bristowe. You're a hit machine. I'm like, what did Kaitlyn wear today? She's got a denim jumpsuit on. Breaking news. And instead, I'm stuck with this bullshit, this arts and crafts subject. Yeah. So I'd much rather cover, your Super Bowl parties and things like that. But here we are, folks. And there's only so many hours in the day.
Okay, she's clearly drowning in her lies and all of this evidence and everything. What is the worst thing that can happen to her? Can she go to jail? Can she claim insanity?
Well,
what happens?
She could have gone to jail today.
Okay.
As we record this, March 1st. So I'll get to that. So she could have gone to jail today.
But she didn't.
Well, we'll get to that. So I'm just gonna, if you don't, if it pleases the Your Highness here, I'd like to just tease a little bit.
Please.
So you go, all right. Well, how the hell am I supposed to find Chase J. Jones? Well, now I'm being sued. Now I've got a case, and the second I get sued, somebody's like, all right, Dave, can we please get you GoFundMe? I was like, all right, release the hounds. People start donating. What I learned as a side note with humans is that as soon as people started donating to my GoFundMe, a segment of the internet got so mad at me.
Oh.
They got so mad. How dare they looked at old threads of how much money I make, and I'm doing okay for myself, right? But what they didn't realize is like some people's love language is gift giving.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn through the good graces of Marianne Williamson the law of divine compensation.
Yeah.
And if people want to donate to my legal funds because they see me getting robbed here, then so be it. And I made people know, like, don't miss out on your kids' birthday payments here.
Right.
But if you're like some retiree, I want some, but do it. We had, Bruce, Teresa, these all-stars donate $1,000 each.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my God. I mean, I'm feeling guilty. Like the Catholic in me is like, please stop. But they're like, no, we know what's happening here. So I tell my lawyer, I find this lawyer who actually specializes in representing dads in divorce court. And I found him through a friend, and I was like, I feel like this guy knows his way around small family court.
Right.
Which my case wasn't family court, but it's the type of person who abuses family court.
Yes.
Because, dads they don't get the coin doesn't flip in their favor sometimes.
Right.
Historically in family court. And again, I was like, all right, this guy clearly knows how to work with men who are being accused of things.
Right.
And he represents me, and I had to get him a $10,000 retainer.
Yeah.
And it's big money, It's like in LA, it's like $800 an hour they charge.
Oh yeah.
For a lawyer. So every time she starts, at that point, don't email me anymore. Go to my lawyer. And I just like, oh my gosh, the bill. Like every time she's manic sending an email.
Yeah.
Well, so you go, well, isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious that she's doing something wrong?
Right.
And that's where the story, I think, really takes a turn, probably for the good. But we don't realize it right away. So Clayton files an injunction against harassment against her.
Okay.
She's got a temporary restraining order against him, separate judge. That's through the family court. He's got one in civil court saying, she's harassing me. So she wins her restraining order against him. The evidence that she used to win that was basically saying he must have shared this photo of me, which was a pregnant belly, because he's the only person I shared it with. Now, she's used the same argument against me, against Greg, against all these people, when in fact, the proof is there online that she had these photos posted to her Dropbox. This same photo I shared, which is a cheetah print bra in her belly. And we shared it so that people could see if it was photoshopped or what's going on, or she just ate a burrito. I mean, it's like, my wife's like, I could do that with a bag of nachos. I could make my stomach look like that. Yeah. So, and she did it in front of a white wall, which I'm like, I don't, Photoshop wise, I'm like, I can't really tell what's going on here, right? And of course, we've already got people sending in evidence that she bought an ultrasound from a literal company that's like literally like, buy a fake ultrasound, and they say that
starting that company.
Yeah, the company says they exist because it's for like pregnancy announcements. If you don't like maybe have an ultrasound, you can be like, all right, we're pregnant, symbolic. And it's like,
Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, he goes to court against her, and we'll get back to Chase J. Jones in a second here. But he goes to court against her. He's already lost his. She has a restraining order against him at this point, and she shows up virtually. I'm in Los Angeles doing an open mic at this little run-of-the-mill place I like to go. It's like 4 p.m. my time. So it's right in that sweet spot where the court case is going. I get an email. I get texts from people. Dave, the case is alive. It's on the internet. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like
I
live
look
streamed?
it up. Live streamed. And they do this. Everything's filmed. Everything's filmed and logged or whatever. And it's like the shittiest grain quality.
Yeah.
It looks like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's like really bad.
Yeah.
But sure enough, this specific court case, somebody flicked the button and it's live. He didn't know that. And he's not represented.
He being
Clayton.
Okay.
He didn't know it was live.
Okay.
I talked to him
And he
afterward.
was there.
He was there in person. I talked to him afterwards. Well, I'll get into that. So the case goes on. They only give you like half an hour for these types of things, which she wins because she'll prevent some evidence and you can't even like catch up to the bullshit. And next thing you know, it's like, it's over.
Yeah.
Well, her lawyer tries to submit this like USB stick of evidence, like there on the spot. And he's like, I don't even have a laptop. I can't review this. Like, in a general case, there's discovery, but in family court, in these little courts, it's kind of just like, whatever the judge wants.
Right.
Well, the judge was like, we're literally out of time. Let's come back in a week and a half and we'll go and you can actually look at this evidence she has and we'll finish it off. Well, at that point, Clayton, he did the best he could. He had all of his evidence, stacks of this, but he wasn't necessarily communicating it in the way that you need an expert to communicate it. So her lawyer's objecting to all of these things. I'm watching this at this open mic and they're like calling me to go on. They're like, all right, Dave Neal, you're on set. I literally leave it on. I go up, do my set and then just come right back to it. And I'm literally watching this. There's a whole community. You can literally see like you can just think of all of the people watching it. Thousands. The bandwidth of this server has never been this big before.
Totally.
And I text him.
Was he represented? Sorry.
At this point, no.
Okay.
And this is like October 25th.
Okay.
So he's not represented. He's just thinking like, I'm not going to waste more money on this bullshit.
Right.
He's building his Airbnb, which is now available, in Scottsdale.
Please go get his Airbnb.
We have members of our community who have rented it out for the court date in June. We'll get to that.
That's incredible.
Hopefully Clayton makes an appearance. We can all do a group TikTok.
Yeah.
So he's just, his money sunk into it. He doesn't have money. There's no cash flow. I'm not going to get a lawyer or whatever. I text him, and I don't really have a relationship with him. I've just been like, when you're desperate, and I think he and myself both have had to share notes and things like that. I was like, Bubba, you did good. Like, good job up there. And he kind of responded like an asshole. He's like, what are you talking about? Huh? Like, are we there? Were you there? I go, Bubba, it was on the internet. And he's like, huh? What? Are you kidding? And like, he was happy.
Oh,
because,
good. Okay.
Because this was the moment where his private battle is now getting exposed.
Yeah.
She didn't know it was going to be public.
Now, she is still claiming to be pregnant right now?
Kaitlyn. This is so She shows up on October 25th with a belly.
Stop. To the court.
She shows up with a belly. And she's framed in a way. And again, this is what you get to see as the internet. You get to see him. He's got a T-shirt on. I'm like, Clayton, put a suit and tie on. Win the case already. But he does have muscles, so I'm like, I get it. So that's her lawyer. He doesn't have a lawyer.
Wait, she's just standing in front of the camera.
She's
showing
standing
the belly.
for this hour-long thing. Pregnant, mind you. Who's standing pregnant? And, she's probably got one of those standing desks well, a fake baby bump's going to ride up if you're sitting. It's
Right.
going to be a whole
So
mess.
she-
It's
oh,
not
yeah,
your
so she
tits
can't.
it's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah.
So people see this and they go, oh my gosh, there were moments, and people can go watch this online. Go take. People can go watch this online, like in color, by the way. I ran out of color prints. Thank you. But so people are going, oh my gosh, she's essentially rubbing it the whole time.
Oh.
And again, at this point, I think would be something like, I don't know, you do the math, 16 weeks, whatever. I can't do the math off the top of my head.
Sure.
Enough to be pregnant. Well,
Especially with twins.
yeah, especially with twins. At that same month, maybe a week earlier, she was photographed jumping on a horse, as flat as can be, no bump. Now I get it. You don't show crazy at first, but we've got nurses, people measuring fundal height.
Sure.
I didn't know what fundal height is. I think it's the top of the belly from the thing. It's all pregnancy terms. And they're going, this isn't it. This just isn't it. So she asked the judge, October 25th, can I show Clayton my baby bump? Can I show Clayton the baby? And without even batting an eye, the judge goes, no. And just keeps it, no, what are you doing?
Absolutely not.
Just goes on. So I go, we see Clayton do okay. We see him struggle. And I go, Clayton, let me rally my audience to get you some representation here.
Yeah.
You need it. You need somebody who knows what's
yes.
going on. And he's like, yeah, go for it. But he was also worried because he knew people would then be like, what? He's a billionaire. He's a famous this. And they did the same thing to him. They did to me. And what you learn is when money's involved in anything, people will use it against you.
Yes.
It's the whole principle of lack, which, by the way, I love what you're doing with energy because scarcity is a limitation we don't need to worry about.
Yes.
We should all accept abundance.
Yes.
Her abundance was buying this prosthetic belly on Amazon, I suspect. We don't know.
Can we get into, not we, but someone get into her Amazon, like can we call Amazon headquarters? I know a guy.
Amazon has been subpoenaed at this point. So legally, yes. Illegally, what falls into my inbox falls into my inbox. I tell people this all the time. Like, let me know. So that's going on concurrently as I'm dealing with this nonsense. The next date is set for November 2nd, I believe. And at this point, she does state she was 24 weeks pregnant and due on February 14th. Cupid's babies. How convenient. As of November 2nd. So as of November 2nd, she's 24 weeks pregnant. Now, when you pass the 20-week mark, you are into stillbirth territory. So at this point, we go, well, what's her play? She can't claim miscarriage. Right. Everyone was waiting for this 20-week mark. And in a normal world, like, you don't know how pregnant someone is unless they tell you. Well, she's saying it under oath.
So she said under oath she's 24 weeks pregnant.
So what happens is we raise money for Clayton like that. Do you want to know the lawyer that Clayton Echard got?
Oh, God. Oh, God, I'm scared.
How about the lawyer from the rape coercion? How about the lawyer that realized he needed to be the one to put an end to this craziness, Woodnick Law?
So the guy that she claimed abused her in the justice system, like he treated her inappropriately, did all this, is now his representation?
And is also set to depose her today, March 1st, 2024. We'll get to that. It's like, look, okay, don't f with Bachelor Nation.
No.
First of all.
No. Okay, we all need a breather, a break. You at home, go take a pee. Who says that? Go take a pee and
have a Xanax.
Yeah, have a Xanax. You need to undress because you're getting hot. I need to pee, and it's a journey in a one piece. So we're gonna make this a two-parter. I think we should not even take a pee. Take a whole day.
Yeah.
Take a couple days because we'll have a part 2 that comes out on Thursday.
Have an edible.
You know what? Have an edible and don't go give a blowjob. I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. I'll see you next Tuesday. See you next